Hey, our next guest is Carl Gallups, longtime senior pastor, best-selling author, former Florida law enforcement officer, a 10-year conservative talk radio host, also a founder of ppsimmons, world-famous YouTube ministry and biblical apologetics channel. Carl, hey, how you doing, buddy?
Bill Martinez, doing great. It's always a joy to be with you.
Okay, we've got some harmonics coming down your phone line here. I don't know why, but anyway, we'll see what we can do about it on our end. But hey, yeah, I'm heading up to Milton here a week after. Hopefully, I can stop in, see you, give you a hug, and take you out for a cup of coffee or maybe a late night pancake or something, huh?
Oh, Bill, listen, we're going to have to make that happen. Does this sound better? I changed something on my phone.
No, it's still kind of, for some reason, Scott, I don't know if we need to recall him or something, but there's his voice is shattering here.
I'm sorry, would you like me to hang up?
Well, yeah, but we're going to come and get you or something. We're going to figure this out because I don't want to drive our audience nuts in the process. But meanwhile, I'm going to do a little bit of a preamble here. Carl and I have been talking. As you know, I've said to you that wait until Barack Obama leaves office. Then all this stuff that wasn't vetted, all these things, that we should have known about, wait for the mainstream media to come back and say, oh, I told you, this is, this was all about it. You guys never paid attention. They're going to claim some sort of plausible deniability. Mark my words. That's what's going to happen because a lot of this stuff about Barack Obama, which has been hitting, which I feel is kind of ironic, that Donald Trump wants to attack Ted Cruz's natural citizenship and his eligibility to run for president. And this is on the heels of, two administrations with a Barack Obama who to this day, I'm sorry, you go, oh my goodness, I don't want to hear about the birther issue. But this is the problem. We want to ignore the truth of the matter. I mean, the fact is Barack Obama presented to us, we the people, a birth certificate that's invalid. It's bogus, okay? So do you want to just say, well, let's not worry about it. Let's just turn our head. There's nothing here. So let's move on. Susan Daniels, who her job in her profession, I mean, she's had, 30 years of experience in vetting people's Social Security numbers. She cannot vet the president. The president cannot go work for a lot of Fortune 500 companies because they can't vet his Social Security number. So what's wrong with this? And and it goes on, but everybody said, why are you bringing that up? The reason that we're bringing it up, because the truth matters, ladies and gentlemen. If we're going to ignore the truth at this level, then how many other forms of the truth are we deciding to walk away from? And then you wonder why America is on the wrong track, right, Carl?
Exactly, Bill, exactly. And Bill, you and I have talked about this a lot, and I know, of course, the naysayers, the operatives, very early on were extremely successful in basically quieting down media as well as conversation around coffee shops, because nobody wants to be called a nut, nobody wants to be called a conspiracy theorist, nobody wants to be called a birther. And so these pejoratives were quickly tagged upon anybody who would dare bring this up. But the point is this. It's like you said, are we going to be a banana republic or a constitutional republic? Does the law matter? Does the rule of law matter? Does the Constitution matter? Do the interpretations of our founding fathers matter? Do we care anymore about whether we're a sovereign independent nation, or are we just going to meld into this blending pot banana republic part of the greater world system? We've got to make that decision, Bill. And what people need to remember, while somebody may be listening to you and me speaking right now, and they may be saying, well, they're a couple of birther nuts. Okay. Please remember, Hillary Clinton was the first person to bring up, and Chris Matthews on MSNBC, Hillary Clinton, during the campaign in 2008, brought up that she knew for a fact, these were her words, that Barack Obama was not eligible to run, that he was from Kenya, he was born in Kenya. These are Hillary Clinton's words. Now remember, we're talking about the Clintons who have access to the databases and power brokers of the world.
Exactly.
And she proclaimed, and Chris Matthews on MSNBC excoriated Hillary Clinton not for making the accusation, but for bringing it up, for exposing it. He was furious with her for, quote, exposing it. Now, it wasn't long after
Well,
that.
Carl, that's because he was anticipating that thrill up his leg.
Sure.
See,
well,
and when you're in anticipation of that, you don't want that. You don't want that thwarted, right?
Of course, no, exactly. But I want to bring your audience up to where we are now, including my visit to Sheriff Arpaio's office just a few days ago. I was in his office for 2 hours, almost 2 hours. But anyway, think. Hey,
next time you go, can I carry your luggage for you? I want to be there in those meetings.
Shine my shoes, brother.
Oh, I'll tell you, whatever it takes, I'll be there.
Oh, you're crazy. Hey, listen, but think of it. So you want to call me a birther, Mr. Operative? Okay, well then, are you willing to call Hillary Clinton a birther? Chris Matthews, she's the one that started the whole thing. I didn't know anything about. I didn't have a clue about Obama maybe not even being eligible until Hillary Clinton brought it up. Now, in the meantime, as I said, we now have this scenario where Hillary Clinton was then summarily shut down herself by the DNC and the big power brokers, and the next thing you know, she and Barack Obama are meeting behind closed doors. I remember all of this. They're negotiating. The next thing you know, of course, Barack Obama's leading in the polls. He wins, and Hillary Clinton is given the consolation prize because she shut her mouth of Secretary of State.
What a heck of a prize, though. How she leveraged that prize into a lot of money, huh?
Oh, of course. Of course, because she spilled the beans. She had the information. I think that she probably threatened it before she released it, and they called her bluff, and so she came forth with it. And when she did, that's when they rounded her up. They knew she had the information. So,
Carl, some of this makes a lot of sense because the things that she did, in spite of the president saying, do not do this, she had to feel that she had a get-out-of-jail card, and that's why she could have her private email. That's why the Clinton Foundation and all these other shenanigans that so far she's been able to get away with.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll bring it up to today when we come back from the break.
Okay, you heard the music. I'll tell you, there's nothing getting around you anymore.
No.
Carl Gallups is with us. We're talking about this insensitive topic that we just, it's that 800,000-pound gorilla in the room that everybody keeps ignoring. But like I've been saying here, wait until President Obama finishes his term of office. Watch the mainstream media come out and say, I told you he wasn't a legitimate citizen. It is absolutely astounding to me. But like we said, the truth matters, ladies and gentlemen. This is what our country is founded on. You destroy the truth, you destroy the country. That's where we are right now. We've got more coming up. Stay right where you are. Hey, Carl Gallups is with us, longtime senior pastor, best-selling author, former Florida law enforcement officer, a conservative talk radio host himself. We've had a chance to talk on his show. I always love having him here on with us. We're talking the truth. And I will warn you, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to hear the truth and you don't want to hear what's going on in terms of the President of the United States and his birth certificate issue, Social Security number, other things that go on and on. Do you kind of feel like you're in the dark here and there's more questions than answers? And why is it that almost 8 years later, we're still asking these same questions, whether it's Hillary Clinton that is told, hey, you don't want to go there, we're going to tap that down. Sarah Palin, we were talking, off the air, Carl and I, about Sarah Palin. She came in and she really wanted to go after that, and there was no way the McCain campaign was going to allow her to do that, right, Carl?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And everybody who is somebody who really has some power, in politics or in the mainstream media, they have been shut down. In fact, Mike Zullo has said on my radio program before, and we've got it on recording, and it's on the internet. He has said that they have signed affidavits from mainstream media people early on in the process who signed affidavits stating that they had been threatened by government operatives, and they didn't say with what, with their life, with their job, who knows, but threatened that to stay away from the birth certificate issue or else. Now, why would that be, Bill? If I were the President of the United States and I was perfectly legitimate and I knew it, and I knew there was some controversy like this out in the world, number one, I wouldn't spend $2 million locking down my records and trying to hide it. Number two, I wouldn't threaten mainstream media people. Number three, I would simply call up the Attorney General and say, hey, fix this. Go get my birth certificate, the microfilm, and anything else you need. Show the public this, and let's get it done. I got to move on.
Exactly. And why would you present a document that is bogus.
Yeah.
On top of it, and somehow claim, I mean, I'm not even sure what his claim is anymore, Carl. It's so enmeshed in lies and deception that it gets confusing. And this is what happens to the everyday public, is they get so brain bruised by all this information. And I think that's what they, what they do. That's their plan of attack.
Well, it is exactly their plan of attack. And let me remind your listeners, in case, again, people are thinking, a couple of conspiracy theory nuts. No, let's deal with facts. So, after all of this came up, and he locks his records down and begins, he threatens, but his operatives begin threatening mainstream media. Again, we've got affidavits from some that we know this has happened. Then the next thing that happens, for the next 2 years, he insists through his surrogates in his office. In fact, his press secretary, I can't even remember his name now, we've got him on video saying, when everybody was demanding a long-form birth certificate, said, they don't even make those anymore. You can't even get those anymore. They don't even have them. There's no such thing anymore at Hawaii. Hawaii doesn't issue long-form birth certificates. They said that for 2 years, Bill. Then finally, when Donald Trump, of all people, came forward and he began questioning, this was long before he was running for president, he began questioning it in the public. All of a sudden, Barack Obama's people found a long-form birth certificate.
Imagine
the thing they said for 2 years, that there was no such thing, that Hawaii didn't even issue them anymore. The next thing you know, they have a long-form birth certificate in a computer-generated form. They've got it slapped up on the website of the White House. It's immediately downloaded by millions of people. It immediately begins to undergo forensics. That's when Sheriff Arpaio got involved, and Lieutenant Mike Zullo and the cold case posse. They began applying professional law enforcement forensics to it. They held 2 press conferences showing and proving that the thing on the White House website was an absolutely forged, fabricated forgery.
And Carl, let me stop you here for just a minute, because I want people to understand, because we've had Mike Zullo on the air here as well, is that he is an officer of the court. And for him to make a statement, he has to make sure all I's are dotted, all T's are crossed. You can't sit there and talk about theory. I mean, you and I can, touch in the theoretical. We try not to, because we try to present the facts, because the facts are what matter. The truth is what matters. And so Mike can't be reckless. And Sheriff Joe cannot be reckless at any point with this information. It has to be evidentiary, right?
Well, not only is that true, but because I'm privy to, and I mean, I've had meetings and phone calls with Mike Zullo continually. I've been in the sheriff's office now for hours. I've talked to him. I've interviewed him. Because I'm privy to so much of what they know, I know for a fact that they have run into dead ends. A good law enforcement officer, you have to have a theory. You have to have, all crime begins with a conspiracy, almost. So there's a conspiracy theory that's involved in law enforcement and profiling. You have to do that. But Mike Zullo has said on my show, and he said on your show, he said to me personally, Sheriff Arpaio, they both said, look, we don't have a dog in this race or dog in this fight. All we want is truth. All we want is truth. We think we've been duped, and we want truth. And if
his constituency, Carl, and what he was originally, I think Joe said that there was 250 people that said, "Hey, look, we got problems here. Can you check this out?" And that's when he brought in Lieutenant Mike Zullo to say, "Check it out." I mean, I don't know, there's a whole lot there, but I got about 250 people rattling my phones here, and I'm the sheriff. I've got to do it on behalf of their request, right?
Yes. No, that's exactly right, because those people were alleging that they had been defrauded in the Maricopa County election by having the possibility of an illegal candidate on the ballot. And so he did have to, in his capacity as law enforcement officer. Well, look, he didn't have to, but if he didn't, that would be held against him in the next campaign. He could be put out for malfeasance in office. So, I mean, he wasn't going to be arrested if he didn't do it. But on the other hand, that's his job. So he did it expecting to find that the birth certificate was entirely legitimate. In fact, Mike Zullo has testified to this many times. He didn't even know anything about the whole case. He was just out living life like millions of other Americans. He dragged into the office and said, "Look, check this out." And he said, "What?" In his birth certificate, the president, he said, "Well, they're not going to allow somebody to run for office who has a fake birth certificate." And sheriff said, "Well, that's what I want you to prove." He said, "I want to be the sheriff to clear this president and get on with this." He said, "I've got enough troubles with federal law and immigration and everything."
Exactly.
Else. So Zullo came back to him after a few weeks, after the whole committee begins looking at it, the whole posse, and started applying forensic, and he came back and he said, Sheriff, sit down. You're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. And he said, this piece of paper right here, this is a forgery. This is a fake. This is a fabrication. The sheriff said, oh, my God. And then there we went. Now, in the meantime, since I'm privy to a lot of this, I happen to know for a fact that they have run into dead ends along the way. They've come up with theories and speculations, and then they begin to apply forensics, and they discover they were wrong. Now, they haven't made these things public yet because that conference has not been held. But in the process of investigating those facts, they've also run into other facts, and they investigated them and found out they were correct. So there is a mountain of evidence piling up that there is a big, deep, dark hole. In fact, Mike Zullo has used the word universe-shattering information. They now have people, people that they've worked with for years. Some have even come right out of the government itself and affiliated with the government that have been working with them. And this is pretty deep. It's pretty dark. Sheriff Arpaio assured me just a few days ago. I was in his office sitting there speaking with him. Mike Zullo was sitting beside me. We were in there almost 2 hours. In fact, the regular business went on that day. 12 or 13 ICE agents came into his office, and Sheriff Arpaio swore them in as Maricopa County deputies, while I was there. And he insisted that I stay in the room while it was done. So I was there a long time, and we talked in detail about the ins and outs and ups and downs of this. And he assures me that there will be a press conference coming sooner rather than later.
Do you think before he gets out of office?
I don't know. He didn't say, and I didn't nail him down on that. But I know he's going to bring something forward.
I'll tell you, there is so much, as you say. When Mike Zullo was on, he told us about Hawaii becoming, Hawaii being known as a birth certificate mill, which is a whole nother story. We talk about immigration and how our borders are so porous, and we don't even consider the Hawaiian Islands. Carl Gallups on Bill Martinez. Carl, always great to see you. In fact, I'll see you personally here probably in another week or so. It's 28 after the top of the hour.